the England manager, Gareth Southgate's been speaking ahead of tonight's final.
I'm not a believer in fairy tales, but I am a believer in dreams. And we've had big dreams. We've felt the need and the importance of that. But then, you have to make the happen. And fate, the run that we've had, the late goals, the penalties, that doesn't equate to us. It being our moment, we have to make it happen tomorrow. We have to perform at the level that we need to perform. So, of course, it would be a lovely story, but it's in our hands and our performance that is the most important thing.
So, Cass, over the course of these championships, what do you think Gareth Southgate has learnt about himself and the England team to take into this final?
Oh, really tough question, Nat, for many reasons, because he's an experienced campaigner now. The Euros and the World Cup of 2018, he would have learnt a lot in. And now he's tried to put it in place. But he's also started the tournament with experimenting, which was initial with Trent, and then obviously Gallagher, and then finishes with Mayhew, and sort of has definitely found the solution that Mayhew is the best person to be in that midfield alongside Declan Rice and Bellingham. So that's been interesting to watch and watch England improve. Gareth has grown, I think, as a person. And I think in management terms, and David Walsh who's a good friend of his, is in the Times today. And he's talking about Gareth as, his critics have no idea how wrong they really are. And look, he's a staunch Gareth fan because he knows him. He's done a book with him. He's worked with him. And he also knows he's very smart. And he always, and I know David personally, and he's always felt there's more to come from Gareth. And I think he's sort of showing that this tournament, because it started way better in other tournaments. But obviously, the closer it got to the final, things got a little bit more trickier. I think it's gone the other way. Yeah. There's been improvement from a pretty average start against Serbia. The first game wasn't good. And yes, you can make the argument you're one moment away of being knocked out. But that's happened a lot. No, I remember watching France in '98 when they played Paraguay, and they didn't play well. Went to extra time. I think Laurent Blanc got the winner. And I'm thinking, wow, France got out of jail there. And that happens in tournaments. Yeah. And you can be lucky. Luck is it's the best superpower you can ever have. Everyone says to me, superpower, give me luck every day of the week.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting when you talk about it like that. When you think of Argentina at the World Cup, they lost their first game, didn't they, in the group phase, and then went on to win the competition. I mean, England haven't lost, touch wood, they don't lose. No. But they haven't lost a game in this tournament so far.
Gareth knows that this game, it doesn't make or break him. I think he's proved again that he's been very good for England as a manager, what he's achieved. But if he lost the game, there will be the critics that he's not a winner. And that will be aimed like it has been at Kane as a player. And yet he's got all these incredible records. Because in some ways, Gareth's got these records, a bit like Kane's got these goal-scoring records at Tottenham and what he did at Bayern, which was extraordinary this year. But you still get criticised. Yeah. I wouldn't mind having their records. You know what I mean? It's like...
No, exactly that. I mean, we've said it before, and we talked about the achievements of Gareth Southgate. Yes, I realise he hasn't won anything as the England manager, but he has reached more major finals than any other manager since the 1966 World Cup final.
Yeah. Let's get the perfect example of how things improved. The penalty shootout in the Euros wasn't as professional as the penalty shootout today. Yeah. What we witnessed, obviously, against Switzerland was a very hard, determined look at how penalties should be taken. And it was a perfect penalty shootout. So he's learned a lot from the Euros penalty shootout, which wasn't. It felt a bit mishap. It felt a little bit not sure who's the right person to take one, the right order. Everything was dissected to get to a place where you make a perfect penalty shootout.
Did you see as well? And I saw this on social media, and forgive me, I forget the guy who wrote about it, but I think he's a football psychologist, and he studies the penalty shootouts and things like that to the nth degree.
Yeah, we might see as madness.
Yeah, but no, it was really fascinating.
Small margins now, we've talked about this. Yeah, marginal gains.
But what it was that he had said that every penalty taker had a buddy. So when that penalty taker went to take their spot kick, regardless of what was going to happen, there was always a buddy that was going to greet them coming back. Yeah. Now, that would be if they scored or missed. Yeah. Because the point was, in the Italy Euro 2020 final, they all had their arms around each other, and obviously when a player missed, they're walking back and all they can see is their teammates crestfallen themselves. This time around, he was saying England have clearly worked on the psychology of ensuring you've got teammates backing you, regardless if you score or not. And that's every single player had a buddy. And I think, for example, Ivan Toney had Declan Rice. So as Ivan Toney's walking back, Declan Rice is going to meet him, and they have a little embrace themselves or whatever it is, and then they go back into the huddle. And again, the other thing he said as well, which I found really fascinating, is none of the England players had their arms around each other, because again, he was saying, if you're coming back having missed a penalty and you're seeing that, you feel as though you might have let down everybody who is interlinked. Whereas he was saying all the other players are sort of, I mean, they're still obviously part of a team. They're still joined together in some ways. But they didn't have their arms around each other because, again, it was just trying to make it, you can come into the circle. It's not you against us. And I found that psychology of it really interesting. And he feels, this particular guy, that England have worked on that in particular. So that's really interesting.
No, well, the two penalty shootouts were chalk and cheese.
Yes.
That was my logic of the penalty shootout. And you have to give credit to the staff and and obviously Gareth and his team and the people behind the scenes, the psychology of taking penalties, that they eventually got to a place, we're going to get good at this. That's not just coincidence, what happened. That was from the failure against Italy that brought them to this place. Yeah. So that's not coincidence.
It's fascinating when you really look into the psychology of football and the little fine margins that they've tried to improve upon, learning from the previous experience and the heartache of that previous penalty shootout.
Well, some people will be listening to this and think, oh, come on, it's just a penalty shootout. It's not just a penalty shootout. This is a high-pressured moment, big pressure moment that you have to be able to deal with it the right way, that gives you an edge to win.
I mean, I really hope it doesn't go to a penalty shootout tonight, because I
so
will
does
not
everyone
be able
else.
to deal with
but
that.
If they do, I think there's a lot more confidence about this penalty shootout than there has been in previous ones. Yeah. That doesn't mean they win it, but if you know that most people have got the belief of thinking, the team and the fans now are thinking, not afraid of a penalty shootout.
Was ist das? talkSPORT?